good morning, or good afternoon, although. Well, had we started at 12, we would have still been somewhere between morning and afternoon, but clearly it is afternoon, so I stand corrected. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you guys are doing well and you're having a happy Monday. Monday blues सब होते हैं बहुत ज़्यादा अच्छा दिन होता नहीं है week का because you know the struggle starts and when you sort of chart out your week यार इस हफ्ते में ये करना है तो Monday all the more stressful हो जाता है. But we will try and make this a good Monday, a worthwhile Monday, a valuable Monday. Because what you are here in for is an amazing 3 hour session which is all about English. Now, I know English can be a tough nut to crack, right? Why? Because although we are very compatible and always, familiar with English, we're associated with English, so to say, but फिर भी English backfire कर देता है. तो बड़ा दोगला किस्म का सब्जेक्ट होता है. बचपन से पढ़ रहे हैं, सब कुछ है, but still we can't say that with guarantee that there is 100% mastery on English altogether. But such is life and such is preparation, right? अगर academics में हर चीज आप anticipate ही कर लो, so then what is really the challenging part over there? And I think that is what keeps us going as well. So today we are going to be doing a motley of questions. You are going to be doing everything that you can think of which might be under the garb called English. So we are going to be having lots of reading comprehensions, vocabulary, grammar may be her type of grammatical rectification, active, passive, direct, indirect, parajumbles, one word substitutions, odd one out, synonyms, antonyms, whatever and everything. That's how it's going to be. So there will be some part of our lecture, our 3 hour marathon, जो थोड़ा stressful हो जाएगा, लगेगा कि यार थक गए क्या हो रहा है. And then of course there's going to be some part of the marathon which is going to be entertaining. It's going to be really fun loving because you're going to be doing quick stuff, जैसे vocabulary हो गई and things like that. But what I do expect from you is for the next 3 hours, zero distraction mode. So your head has to be in the game and you are not to get away from the screen come what may. So please tell all of your commitments to wait till 3:30 because we will be here till 3:30 and we will not move till we sweat it out completely. And all what we do is we act Shakespearean. I hope you get the context here what I'm trying to say. Right now, before I begin, if I could just have a very quick check on the audibility and the visibility. Can all of you hear me? Yeah, I know it's just 4 days to go and y'all must be like, completely going bonkers. So we'll talk a little about strategy also. Now again, guys, see what we're doing right now. ऐसा कोई sure shot नहीं है कि यही आएगा. That's not what it is. What I've been able to produce in front of you is a variety just to be able to have these googlies come forth and be see कि यार हम लोग कैसे उसको solve कर सकते हैं. Right? So this should be taken more as a confidence building session rather than something, wherein you're like, अच्छा ये question तो मेरे exam में आया ही नहीं. That's not the kind of limitation that we want, of course. Okay. And I think with that, let's start. Since we are here for the next 3 hours, we'll do it in a way wherein we'll try and finish for the first 1.5 hour non-stop. We'll then take a 10-minute break because, of course, I know you all must be hungry. It's going to be lunch time and all of that. But please eat light. ऐसा नहीं होगी खा लिया ठूस लिया और नींद आ गई. That's not what we want. So we'll take a 10 minutes break somewhere in between. 10-15 we'll decide, right? And then we will continue with whatever we have. What I have brought for you are 80 questions. बहुत सारे हैं. तो पूरा भी नहीं हो पाएगा तो फिर चिंता मत करना उसमें. I will have this PPT uploaded just underneath the YT link once this is over so that you can solve it by yourself. And of course, I will have the answer key also uploaded so that you have access to both of these two things. Make sure that you do solve it because any practice is good practice is how it is said. And with that, let us do our Shubh Aram. Let's begin everybody. Now what I'm going to expect from you is आप लोग बहुत ज़्यादा superbly prompt रहना chat box में. Once I, of course, browse the screen, I will shift on to the slide and I will step aside. Correct? You are to read and ping in your answer in the chat box. So once I think that I've gotten a good number of pings, we will begin with the discussion of it. Now, please don't at all be embarrassed to give your answers. There is no judgment. We are all here to learn. तो एकदम बेझिझक अपने answers लिखना. In fact, we'll try and talk around it कि भाई ये answer क्यों नहीं हो सकता and why is it that you have the other answer. So that you have clarity and that you understand कि अच्छा मेरी अगर ये approach थी तो मेरी approach ये थोड़ी सी short ended है. You know, it's loosely tied up. I need to sort of polish my fundamentals here. So do make sure that you're marking the answer, because if you're not marking the answer, then you're not learning. So make sure that you're giving your answers to me, and once I have a ping, we will begin. Right? I would really like you guys to stay until the end of it, because it will be strenuous, but it will be worth it. That's something that I can, of course, guarantee. And with only 4 days, I'm sure आपका reverse countdown चल रहा होगा, जैसे बॉलीवुड में नहीं दिखाते reverse clock, वो चल ही रहा होगा. तो भाई उस at this point of time, at this juncture of preparation, तो भाई सबसे ज्यादा important practice ही करना है. So let us just begin. So I'm going to just get on step next. I need you to read and ping your answer. And with that, let us officially begin the crazy marathon that we have. Please begin, guys. The first question. Okay, let's see what do we have over here. Now, I had already published a novel and it was an unexpected success. So publish किया novel and एक बड़ा unexpected success हो गया, something that we were not anticipating. I thought my dash. So I have to see something which is going to be शायद it was a good day या probably मेरी किस्मत अच्छी थी. इसीलिए क्या हुआ, मैंने एक नॉवल पब्लिश की और एकदम से उसको सक्सेस मिल गया. तो लेट्स सी एनीथिंग दैट्स गोइंग टू मैच दैट आंसर. आई थिंक माय डेज वर अप इज योर गुड टाइम्स आर ओवर. तो ये तो नेगेटिव है, ये नहीं हो सकता. माई चांसेस वर गुड. नाउ चांसेस तो ऑलरेडी एस्टेब्लिश्ड है ना. मुझे जो भी एंगल चाहिए या वर्ड चाहिए वो अनएक्सपेक्टेड वाली फीलिंग को केटर करना चाहिए. So obviously my chances were good is not going to be, because your chances of course have been established. Past perfect में है ना sentence. So which means ये तो हो ही चुका है. So this is not going to be. So now I thought my lady luck was happy. Yes, lady luck is symbolically taken for destiny. जैसे अगर मैंने बोला मेरी किस्मत बड़ी अच्छी है, my lady luck is right. And so many times ना हम लोग बोलते भी है ना कि whenever there's a good woman next to you, you got lady luck. So basically it's nothing but a metaphorical way of saying that luck is going to shine upon you. So yes, very much this can be an answer. My fortune was made. अरे ये थोड़ी पता है कि कितना पैसा आ गया है, right? So I thought my fortune was made नहीं हो सकता. I thought my lady luck was happy, because throughout the statement हमें unexpected वाले angle पे जाना था and not otherwise. So the correct answer over here is going to be option C. Next, let's go. Okay, I'm still waiting for answers. ठीक है. Okay, let's see. The neighbor grabbed the boy and rolled him on the road to dash the flames. So the neighbor picked up the boy and obviously उसने रोल किया उसको ग्राउंड पे क्या करने के लिए फ्लेम्स बुझाने के लिए. So what I want has to be the answer of बुझाना. Smother makes sense because smothering is suppress करना मतलब किसी को एकदम से रगड़ देना, that is smother. इसीलिए हम लोग बोलते हैं ना he's smothering, mummies smother us with love, ऐसे पकड़ के एकदम tightly प्यार व्यार कर देती है. So yes, smother means to suppress. This can definitely be an answer for us. You can't kill the flame. Kill can only be used for animate objects. Living, inanimate के लिए नहीं हो सकता. Burnout is a phrasal verb which means to be exhausted. So if you see यहाँ पे burn ending with an out which is a preposition, तो burn out has to be read together. अगर मैंने बोला है मेरा burn out हो गया है, तो which means कि I'm very tired. So this makes no answer over here at all. So C can't be. A lot of you guys did have C as the answer. And fizz out. Fizz out भी नहीं होता. Fizz out is also जब आपकी पूरी energy खत्म हो जाती है. Bottle खोलते हैं ना cold drink की, fizz आती है. Fizz out हो गए. Right? So again, you know, you're like dead tired. Nothing. There's no more energy, no more effervescence that is left. So none of these are going to be the answer. The correct answer is going to be option A. I hope that one's okay. And let's get to the next. I'll just sort of fix it in the frame. इतने सारे पेजेस के साथ लाइव चल रही है, कंफ्यूजन हो रहा है किसको पढ़े किस. अरे नहीं एडवोकेट गारू, जो मन करे वो पढ़ो, बिकॉज all of this will be you know there. So you will always have all of this data with you. This data is not going anywhere. It's live on YouTube. It will stay on YouTube. So जो लग रहा है कि this is what I want to do that, and then the remaining can be done. But whatever you're doing, just do dutifully. ये नहीं कि आधा आधा जंप नहीं करना, उससे कोई फायदा नहीं होगा. जैक ऑफ ऑल ट्रेड्स मास्टर ऑफ नन. एक पे करना, उसी पे टिके रहना. ठीक है. Ma'am, for NIACL, any batch is launched? Pratik, I'm not the right person for any of the batch related information. You will have to check with the team. I will have the number given out to you and of course the email ID as well. You can always reach out to them. They will guide you completely with all of the upcoming batches. I will not know a specific date. Of course, we have these in the pipeline, but कब launch हो रहा है, this is not, I'm not the right person for it. Okay, चलो, next करते हैं. Okay, chalo, let's see. Sometimes the greatest inventions dash an idea of startling simplicity, right? So statement क्या बोल रहा है? Sometimes the greatest of the inventions, सबसे महान invention भी start किससे होता है? छोटे से idea से, right? So I want something which is going to be the start, या something which is going to be like, you know, it just ऐसा spark होता है एक छोटे से idea से. Now stumble upon, stumble मतलब लुढ़कना. You can't stumble upon an idea, and that can't be a start. Stumble is always an obstruction, right? So this can't be. Hinge upon, hinge मतलब लटके रहना. इसीलिए स्क्रू जब टाइट कर दे तो hinges टाइट करते हैं ना हम लोग, कुर्सी की, टेबल की, दरवाजे की. So hinge upon is something which is just fixated there. So sometimes the greatest, you know, inventions hinge upon an idea of startling simplicity. Simple सा idea उसी पे hinge होता है. Very good. This can be. Starves without can't be. This is negative. I want something which has a positive connotation. Plus starves is भूखे रहना. Lacks भी नहीं हो सकता because that is again negative. So which means the correct answer over here is going to be option B. Right then, let's get to the next one. Now starting from the next, there is a question that has been given and in a paragraph, a line is missing. आपको बताना है out of the four, which of the following do you think is going to be the most perfect line? It's called a paracompletion. Now paracompletion specifically तो आपके लिए नहीं पूछते, but parajumbles तो पूछते हैं. So this is one of the ways in which you can accelerate the activity of parajumbles. क्योंकि अगर पैराजम्बल में उन्होंने आपसे पूछ लिया which is the fourth line, which is the third line, तो कैसे बताओगे? बताओ मुझे which is the second line. You know, that's one way. So we have twisted the question type, but the requirement remains the same. So mandatory pairs बनाना and ढूंढना कौन सा continuing idea है. Let's go to the next one. All right, let's start. People arguing for a position have been known to cast the opposite in an unnecessarily feeble light. Feeble is weak, right? So people arguing for a position. अगर आप किसी position के लिए लड़ने की कोशिश कर रहे हो, तो it's been known कि वो opposite side को बड़ा weak दिखाते हैं, ताकि उनका और ज़्यादा दबदबा बने. They are more, they are able to display their strength. Dash. Now, people who indulge in this fallacy may be fearful or ignorant of a strong counter argument. अब ऐसे लोग जो सामने वाले को इतना फीबल इतना वीक दिखाते हैं, वो लोग एक्चुअली अंदर से डरे हुए होते हैं, बिकॉज उनको ये पता है, उनको ये लगता है कि सामने वाला कोई ऐसा स्ट्रॉन्ग काउंटर आर्गुमेंट दे देगा तो क्या होगा, राइट? सो वट एवर शुड बी हियर हैज टू बी अ कंटिन्यूएशन ऑफ दिस. चलो लेट्स सी. कास्टिंग द ऑपोजिट इज वीकर. अब देखो, हमें ये पता है कि जब हम पैराजम्बल्स करते हैं तो इट हैज टू बी अ कंटिन्यूइंग आइडिया, इट कैन नॉट बी अ रैंडम आइडिया. तो अगर इस स्टेटमेंट में मैंने कास्टिंग द ऑपोजिट किया, तो वट एवर हैज टू बी टॉक्ड अबाउट has to continue on the lines of casting the opposite as weaker. चलो देखते हैं. Now, casting the opposite as weaker than it really is a very effective strategy. अब everything is okay in this unless this part. Is a very effective strategy. अरे हम criticize कर रहे हैं strategy को, तो is a very effective नहीं, is not a very effective होता तो ये सही होता, तो ये नहीं हो सकता मेरा आंसर. This portrayal of a refutation as weaker than it really is a sure way of proving your point. Now it says this portrayal of a refutation. Refutation is refute करना सामने वाले को, कि मना कर दिया. As weaker, no, you're not refuting the other as weaker, you are asserting the other as weaker. तो ये refutation word कैसे आ गया? Refute का मतलब तो denial होता है ना, यहाँ तो आप सामने वाले को इल्जाम लगा रहे हो, तो ये word बहुत गड़बड़ है. This can't be है आप लोगों का, that can't be an answer for us. Casting the opposite as weaker than it really is not a very effective strategy. Yes, continue कर रहा है. If you just see over here, we are continuing on this idea, cast the opposite, and then of course that is the kind of subject that is continuing in the next one also. So yes, definitely that makes sense. This portrayal of refutation as weaker than it really is unwarranted. Now again, we're not talking about what is unwarranted. This is not going to be the answer at all. In fact, the answer is going to be option C. Nobody had C. But okay, no, we did have. Chan had C. The other ones had between A and B. Now, A was also very close. But ये not word बहुत जरूरी था. क्योंकि नेगेटिव आइडिया है ना, पॉजिटिव थोड़ी है, तो इफेक्टिव थोड़ी करना है. मुझे तो क्रिटिसाइज करने की, जो लोग ये करते हैं वो गलत करते हैं. So which is why that's the only answer that I have. Let's go to the next. Now we have to be deciding on a parajumble. Please start. Yes, Pavan, we will be covering all the topics that we have, right? A little bit of everything. You'll get the best of all the worlds, but stay put. Next question. Okay, excellent. Everybody seems to be having an A over here. Let's just read A all together. Now, Sudha wanted her son Ravi to get admissions in a convent school. Makes sense. Plot बता रहा है. She decided, Rishi कौन है? Sudha है, तो mandatory pair बन गया ना noun pronoun rule से. Decided to go to the school and meet the principal. Obviously वहां जैसे ही वो गई तो क्या हुआ? Suddenly she realized she had no money with her. उसको लगा कि मेरे पास तो पैसे ही नहीं है. अब क्या करेंगे? Therefore, she decided to go to the office of Ravi's father and get the money. Money. Obviously, यहाँ पे mandatory pair ही बनेगा. So the correct option is going to be option A. Very good job, guys. सबका आंसर सही था इसमें. Next question. Please start. All right, then let's see. What do we have? Do we have the answer? Not yet, though. Oh, okay, we do. Let's. So A again comes in as an answer. So I will read with A and then see if there's any other option. Now, the whole scheme was destined to fail from the beginning. Okay, well, yes, that makes sense. It is impossible to steer such a large project to success without planning. Again, that's okay. He started realizing this being the fact that there has to be proper planning. Only towards the end, perfect, and but by then it was too late to correct things. Okay, that also makes sense because but आ गया तो obviously इसको contradiction चाहिए, इसको एक conjunction चाहिए. So very good job. The answer is going to be option A. The questions of IBPS PO will be harder in terms of vocab. We are also in an escalating level. So if you feel everything is too easy right now, wait. There are going to be more stuff that is going to be coming. तो अभी तो हम लोग बस थोड़ा सा momentum बना रहे हैं ना. उसके बाद we will be shifting gears. So stay put. Let's try the next one. Seventh, please start. Okay, all right. So we have B coming in as the answer. So I'll begin by reading fifth B. Now, there is no shortcut to bringing your child to do his best. Bringing out the best in a child is a gradual process of support and encouragement on your part. Okay. However, in spite of parental efforts, kids are found to fall short of their potentiality, and parents give natural ability of children as an explanation for this. Okay. There is one more that sort of, looks very promising. So I just want to read it to be able to, uh, cover that out, just to be able to make sure that that could also be an answer. Now, beginning with no, I think, sorry, that's the only one. So very good job. It is going to be B again. I think वो दूसरे question के लिए था, not for this one. Very well, guys. You're doing a fabulous job here at Parajumbles. And now let's get to a little bit of statement completions. Start. Question number 8. Okay, there's A and then there is D. The scheme dash for want of sufficient support from all the members of the meeting. So the scheme, something happened to the scheme for want of sufficient support, which means there was what we wanted was sufficient support from, of course, the members at the meeting, but it could not have. Now, the scheme fell through for want of. Now, okay, fell through could have been, fell through basically means something that is not happening. You were wanting to do it, but it did not happen. Why? For want of sufficient. Well, that makes sense because it could not happen. Makes sense. Now, fell out. When you fall out of something, it means you are no more in relationship with that. That is when two friends have had a fallout, right? So they've fallen out. This is not going to be an answer. Now the scheme fell off. Now fell off is also not going to be. Now fell behind basically means to not be able to cope up, but that's not going to be the answer either, which means the correct answer is going to be option A. It fell through. Very well. Try the next one. Okay, let's see. The air hostess dashed the toffees to all the passengers aboard the aircraft. So obviously, what we want is the air host. We want the kind of idea which is distribution से. तो हमें phrasal verb ढूंढना है इसमें से जो distribute mean करता है, right? So the air hostess passed over the toffees to all the passengers. Okay, all right, makes sense because passed over is going to be इसको दिया फिर उसको दिया फिर उसको दिया. Make इसको रख लेते हैं. passed out is not going to be when you pass out, you've lost consciousness, right? Which is why you just pass out. So a lot of times while there are some intoxications that happen, people tend to pass out. या धूप बहुत ज्यादा होती faint होते they pass out. So this can't be. Now the air hostess gave round. Around होता तो समझ में आता, gave around, but gave round क्या होता है? कुछ भी नहीं. Passed round भी नहीं हो सकता, it has to be passed around, which means there is only one correct answer, which is going to be option A, and that is what everybody had. Very well done there. Let's try the next one. Okay, let's try this one. Now, the party was more interested in dash and announced a sharp reduction in the price of rice. तो पार्टी किसी चीज में बहुत ज्यादा इंटरेस्टेड थी और उसने क्या किया, उसने एकदम शार्प रिडक्शन ऑफ प्राइसेस, प्राइसेस राइस की एकदम ही कम कर दी. Now was more interested in cheap gimmicks. Gimmicks are tricks. बट ये चीप गिमिक्स नहीं हो सकता ना ये आंसर, क्योंकि ऑब्वियसली उसने शार्प किया. सो वी डोंट नो इफ इट इज रियली जनहित में किया कि नहीं किया. सो वी डोंट हैव दैट एज एन आंसर. Now, the party was more interested in playing to the gallery. Now, playing to the gallery is an idiom which means जब आप कुछ बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ चढ़ के करते हो to be able to please your audience. पर ऐसा कुछ बहुत बढ़ चढ़ के वाला आइडिया भी नहीं था, तो playing to the gallery will not be the right fit. Was interested in politics of opportunism, and now opportunism can probably be an answer for us. Why? Because politics of opportunism simply means जब आप अपनी अपनी opportunity को या अपने वोट बैंक को और स्ट्रॉन्ग करने के लिए कुछ ऐसा करते हो फेवरेबल जिससे आपका और भला हो जाए. सो वेल यस, दैट मेक्स सेंस. शॉर्ट टर्म गेन्स, नाउ वी डोंट नो बिकॉज दिस रिडक्शन कितने टाइम तक चल रहा है. वी डोंट रियली नो इज इट गोइंग टू बी ऑफ गेन और नॉट, बट वी नो फॉर अ फैक्ट दैट दे वर वांटिंग टू प्लीज. नो, बिटवीन बी एंड सी यही दो ऑप्शन थे. बी नहीं हो सकता क्योंकि बी में एक एग्जैजरेशन वाला एंगल हमेशा होता है, बट दैट्स नॉट समथिंग दैट वी कैन एक्सट्रैक्ट. सो द करेक्ट आंसर इज गोइंग टू बी ऑप्शन सी ओवर हियर. आई होप एवरीबडी गेट्स इट एज टू व्हाई. जब तक स्टेटमेंट में ये ना लिखा रहे कि वो एक गुड या बैड फेथ के लिए हो रहा है, तो डोंट चूज फॉर एनीथिंग विच इज ऑन आइदर साइड्स ऑफ इट, विच इज व्हाई ए और डी नहीं हो सकता है, बिकॉज वो थोड़े पर्सनल स्टेटमेंट्स जा रहे हैं. नेक्स्ट, लेट्स सी. All right, then let's see. The two brothers have, of course, the answer will be fall out. Fallen out, thoda grammar was off here, सब में en आएगा, but the two brothers have fallen out with each other, which means to be incompatible, to have a disagreement. So that is what it is. Fallen is सब लोग एक लाइन में या एक जगह पे आ जाए, जैसे आर्मी कैडेट्स या पुलिस वाले फॉल इन करवाते हैं, एवरीबडी टुगेदर. फॉल बैक इज डिफरेंट एंड फॉल ऑफ तो अलग ही चीज होती है. ही वॉज राइडिंग द हॉर्स एंड ही फेल ऑफ, वो अलग चीज होता है. So obviously the correct answer is going to be B. Everybody had a B. Very well done there. Next. He has a reputation dash honesty. Give me an answer over here. Which one do you think is it going to be? He has a reputation. Okay. Now he has a reputation. OFF नहीं हो सकता. Off single F होता तो एक बार consider करते. OFF means कोई चीज सब symbolically खत्म हो जाती है. That's not. For, yes, you can use for as a preposition because for is always used to denote the object to the subject. To नहीं हो सकता. He has a reputation to honesty. It doesn't make sense. To is always used for a point. Out भी नहीं हो सकता. This is not going to be an answer, which means the correct answer is going to be option B. Very good job there. Let's see the next. The rider fell. What do you think the answer will be over here? The rider fell off. Right. अभी ये OFF चाहिए क्योंकि गिर जाना. Symbolically, obviously, something that's coming to an end. So the answer will be option A. Okay, now we'll do some idioms. So we're going to find out what the meaning of this is. Read, try and understand the symbolism, and tell me what do you think the answer is. Okay, let's see. Now to put a spook in one's wheel. So spook wheel है उसमें आपने spook, it's a डंडा ऐसे एकदम से डाल दिया तो आप क्या करोगे? The wheel will not be able to move. Right now, a wheel moving forward is always a motion of progress. महात्मा गांधी ने भी तो चरखी यूज किया था ना अपना symbol. So wheel is progress. Spook is अडंगा. So A can't be the answer because to interfere with success होना चाहिए या prosperity तो समझ में आता. To hinder one's progress, progress भी मिल गया. Yes, prejudice, revenge हो नहीं सकता. So the correct answer is going to be B. A और B में ही choice था and B is what is going to be the correct answer. Let's see the next. To be hand in gloves with, that is एक ही glove है सारे hands वहां पे है, which means of course you are very tight, very close with one another. So to be in a miserable condition or to be in a fix is always a problem. नहीं. To be on very intimate terms, very well. To be on financial difficulty, no. So the correct answer is going to be option C over here. Let's do the next. Now throw cold water on, ठंडा पानी किसी पे फेंक देना is literally to be able to discourage or to be negative about something. जब कोई चीज बहुत hot होती है तो वो plan and discussion होती है. Right? Something which is very cold, cold is always taken as of a word which means to be not interested. इसलिए cold behavior भी होता है लोगों का. To conquer हो नहीं सकता, to refuse, to bring to an end, इससे end नहीं आएगा. You've just thrown cold water, which means you've not, like you're just not interested. You've like not even paid any attention to. That's what it is. So it is to discourage or it is to be negative about something. Okay, now starting with the next, what we have is a reading comprehension. So what I'm going to do is I will step aside and I'll give you all the time that you need to read. Once you finish with the reading, just write a next in the chat box so that we can move on to the next slide, which is there, right? You can read until here, and then the questions can be something that I will give you 5 seconds of time each, and then you can begin with solving the questions that we have. But read it thoroughly, and maybe, just make some bullet points of anything that you feel that is going to be important. Do write a next so that I know aapne pad liya hai, and that is when I will move. So I'm just going to step aside, and the screen is all yours. Okay, I think we may start. So I'm just going to go back to be able to read the passage and know what does it seem to be talking about. Now, one of Kannabiran's formulation that had a profound impact, profound is something which is very deep, profound impact on demystifying the relationship between the state citizen and law enforcement concerned with the centrality of the state in the administration of criminal justice. So one of Kannabiran's formulations that had a very deep impact was the kind of relationship that he stitched between the state, the citizen, and the law enforcement. Now, while it is in the course of crime detection, investigations and apprehensions of the accused that human right violation ordinarily take place, it is in the realm of state violence that the fault lies underlying existing criminal jurisprudence surface. And then it just goes to say, while of course, it seems to be that it is in the course of crime detection, whatever be the investigation and the apprehension of the accused that has to be done, they ordinary and whatever ordinary take place, it is in the realm of the state violence at the fault lines underlying existing criminal jurisprudence. And whatever be the kind of mishaps that happened, it is because of the underlying jurisprudence. Stressing that there is no permanence about any definition of law and criminal law, he pointed to the absolute power accorded to the state to implement the law in the real context of abuse, misuse, and vindictive administration. He said कि भाई कोई clear definition तो है नहीं, ये सही है, ये गलत है, which is why ये सारी terminologies बहुत ज़्यादा misuse होते हैं. We have used this particular dictum in innumerable cases involving political challenges to the state, particularly in major Tada cases involving minorities and Dalits in May 2009, to the heights of the war against Tamils in Sri Lanka. A peaceful protest that took place in Coimbatore against army convoys suspected to be taking arms and explosives to help Sri Lankan armies. And time and again, what we've done is incidents बात की है passage में उसने बोला है कि हम लोग ने उसको अपने हिसाब से मोड़ तोड़ लिया है. Two PUCL observers were also arrested and charged with sedition. We used Kannabiran's classic definition and argument inside the court and in public meetings. Citizens are at large, clearly understood the message. The simplicity of the formulation masked the profundity of the understanding of the criminal law. The fact that it needs to be simple, and that is what tends to mask the effectiveness of it. Now, Kannabiran forever urged us, as also other lawyers, to never take for granted any audience. He exhorted us to address all fora, from the lowest court to the meeting of the jurist, as though we are taking a class. So he always said कि भाई करो sincerity से करो, कभी किसी को granted मत लो. In our 17 years of close interaction, we never once heard him as an expletive or speak ill of any person. 17 साल में कभी बंदे ने खराब से बात नहीं की. While he was caustic, obviously, bitter तो था ही, belittle करता था या शायद इल्जाम, fault finding अपनी करता था, he maintained the dignity and decorum in his political and legal criticism. He maintained his dignity every time. He was of no means a soft person and could be as hard hitting as anyone when presenting his analysis. So it was not that he was very manipulative or he was a people's pleaser. He would say what he wanted to say. But to many of us young activists and lawyers, he offered a different role model of a person who, through personal example, became the embodiment of ethical and political values he advocated. But for people like us, he actually became an embodiment. Kannabiran's contribution to human rights was not only in the field of criminal law. Actually, he played a very direct, proactive, and catalytic role on many issues of major social and political import. So it was just not the legal aspect. उसने बहुत जगह और भी help किया. From social justice issues to environmental rights, from issues of election rights to the rights of sexual minorities, there were no taboo issues. Kannabiran के लिए कभी भी कोई भी चीज taboo थी ही नहीं. He would always go ahead with it. Okay, let's see. Which of the following cannot be inferred? Right? So it's simple. You'll have to give me the one answer that is false. Kannabiran believed that the definitions of crime and criminal laws are prone to change. Now, of course, the question is trying to be asking you, which of the following is it that we tend to be, which of the following is going to be false? Now, Kannabiran believed that the definitions of crime and criminal laws are prone to changes. That's not what it is. He said, एक set of idea तो दो कि क्या आता है, what comes under it. So obviously this is what is definitely going to be a wrong idea for me. आगे देखते हैं. Kannabiran contributed to human rights. Correct. If it is correct, that can't be my answer. The process of crime detection usually leads to violation of human rights. यही तो problem थी उसकी. This is also true. If it is true, it can't be my answer. None of these will not be my answer because I do have an answer, which is going to be option A. Absolutely correct. Let's do the second one. Okay, let's see now. As per the understanding, the attitude of the author towards Kannamiran appears to be. So obviously, he's in praise, isn't it? Praise, appreciation, क्योंकि बहुत ही अच्छा बंदा था. You know, he was the kind of person, he was a very noble man and the kind of person who would actually be a role model. So that's the kind of word we want. Now, smitten is जब आप एकदम गदगद हो जाते हो, जो हिंदी में बोलते हैं. He was not smitten. If you have somebody who's a role model, that person inspires you. You're not smitten by that person. Just you're smitten in love. Right? आपको कुछ सही गलत नहीं समझ में आता. This can't be. Eulogistic means when you are trying to be praising the other person, when you're giving accolades to the other person, definitely can be. Complacent का मतलब होता है जो सामने वाला बोल रहा है उसके हामी में हाँ कर दो, तो ये तो आंसर नहीं हो सकता. Ambivalent is confused. Ambi is the word, root word ambi means two. So ambivalent means somebody that is confused. This can't be an answer either, which means the correct answer becomes option B. Let's try the next. Question number 19. We start. Okay, let's see 19. Now, the simplicity of the formulation masks the profundity of its understanding of criminal law. First line था paragraph का, pertains to which of the following. तो इसका बोलने का क्या मतलब है? So पहले तो इसको break करते हैं. The simplicity of the formulation masked the profundity of its understanding of criminal law. तो इतना simple दिखा, but what did it do? It masked the profundity. It masked the depth of what criminal law is all about. So let's see. There is no permanence about any definition of crime. अभी ये नहीं हो सकता. देखो, no explicit होता है, explicit word से हम लोग दूर रहते हैं. Plus, this is not about the permanence of it. It's about, it has to be something which is going to be central or something which is going to add meaning to it. ये नहीं हो सकता. The absolute power accorded to the state to implement, again, that makes no sense because it has to have that idea of masking. The real context of abuse, misuse, and vindictive. Okay, this is again not going to be the answer. Centrality of the state and the administration of criminal justice. Well, yes, because it pertains to what? ये line किसको जा रही है? तो this entire line जो इन लोगों ने बोला कि simplicity of formulation masks the profundity of its understanding of criminal law, ये किसकी तरफ है? It is towards the centrality of the state in the administration of criminal justice. It is targeting the criminal justice system, the center, and it is trying to be telling कि आप अगर कोई meaning दे देते या कोई अच्छे से उसको set rules में बता देते तो ठीक था. But अभी लोग क्या कर रहे हैं? अपने हिसाब से जैसे मन कर रहे हैं उसको use कर रहे हैं, and that is what is becoming a problem. So the correct answer is going to be option D. Okay, let's try the next one. What do you think this is going to be an excerpt from? This one of course is very easy. Now a legal report can't be an answer because कोई भी चीज जब report होती है तो उसमें बहुत facts, बहुत analysis, बहुत numbers, बहुत data होता है. So this can't be. Biography can be क्योंकि it could be that the author is writing about Kanna Biran and उसकी पूरी life के बारे में, so can be. Obituary is written when somebody dies. We don't know about, you know, whether there's a death or not. A paean basically is a praiseworthy poem. So a paean is a poem. It's a type of a poem. So this is definitely not that, which means there is only one correct answer. The correct answer becomes option B over here. Let's get to the next. Now, it says there were no taboo issues for Kanna Biran. By this, the author means to say, so no taboo issue matlab कन्ना बिरन को कभी भी ये नहीं लगता था कि यार ये इस पे नहीं बात कर सकती, इस पे सोसाइटी कुछ और बोलेगी, उसके लिए कोई भी चीज टैबू नहीं थी. लेट्स सी द कन्ना that Kannavaran did not have any reservation in deliberating any kind of issues. Well, yes, that makes sense. उसको कोई problem नहीं थी, इसको reserve कर लेते हैं. That Kannavaran played a very important role in major social justice issues and one pertaining to environmental right. No taboo. तो मुझे कोई आंसर चाहिए जो ये नहीं बता रहा है क्या किया, ये बता रहा है कि किसमें झिझक भी नहीं आई उसको. ये नहीं हो सकता. That Kannavaran played a proactive role in many issues in election rights. Again, that's not what it is. That Kannavaran played a very direct and proactive and catalytic role in issues falling under the umbrella of human rights as a whole. Now over here you have to understand, जब मैंने कहा कोई taboo नहीं है तो मुझे वो topics पे बात करनी है जो hesitate करता है बंदा and not otherwise. So clearly the inference of this line is going to mean A. बंदे को कभी कोई reservation नहीं थी, कोई झिझक, कोई hesitation नहीं था, कोई भी topic उठाने में. It could range from sexual issues to gender issues to rape issues to environmental issues, कुछ भी दे दो. Election issues, he would speak up, he would be a bold voice for all of these. That is what it says. Now, in the context of the passage, which of the following word cannot be used as a substitute for the word profound? Cannot be. So give me a false word. अब profound का मतलब था deep. So which of the following cannot be? तो deep तो हो ही गया. ये मेरा आंसर नहीं हो सकता. Great will also be something which is, profound. अगर मैंने बोला, this person is a profound person in the field. So of course he's great, he's eminent. This also makes sense. And so does strong. So our answer becomes recondite over here. Recondite means something which is very less known. Arcane. कोई चीज जो obtruse होती है, जो बहुत लोगों को पता नहीं होती है. And I think with that we come to an end to the reading comprehensions. Now starting from question number 23 to 25, हमारे पास एक word दिया है. उस वर्ड के मल्टीपल कंटेक्चुअल यूजेजेस दिख रहे हैं आपको. आपको बताना है विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग कंटेक्चुअल यूजेजेस रॉन्ग. रॉन्ग कैसे हो सकता है? ग्रामेटिकली भी रॉन्ग हो सकता है या मीनिंगफुली भी रॉन्ग हो सकता है. प्लीज स्टार्ट विद द नेक्स्ट वन. Okay, let's see catch. Catch me if you can. Okay, it's being used as the verb over here, which is correct. If it is correct, it can't be the answer. The antenna is unable to catch up the TV. अभी ये clearly गलत है. You don't catch up. Catch up means long lost, right? You want to be put to speed. इसलिए दो friends बहुत दिन बाद मिलते हैं तो catch up करते हैं. ये catch up कैसे हो सकता है? वो कौन सा एंटीना उसका केबल का दोस्त है क्या? Clearly not. We've come here to catch fish. Makes sense. I am in a catch 22 situation. That is also idiomatically used. All of these are correct. The correct answer is going to be option B because B में incorrect usage हो रहा है. Let's try the next. Bark. The next word is bark. Let's see what the answer is going to be for this. Okay, chalo, let's see. Those who bark don't bite. This is an idiomatic expression. This is correct. If it's correct, can't be my answer. The sailors were sailing in a bark. That is also okay. This doesn't. This is not wrong. The bark of this tree. Bark is going to be. Bark to एक party होता है tree का. This is also okay. He began to bark off his orders. अगर bark off बोलना है जैसे नहीं हिंदी में बोलते हैं भौंक रहा है फालतू में. So they should have been off, right? And he began to bark is okay. In fact, you do this or you don't put off. The correct answer over here is going to be D. Next, let's see the next word that we have is act. Begin. Now, I think this one is pretty easy. Now, I was putting on an act out and laughing a lot. Now, I was putting on an act. Act out तो मतलब कोई इंसान जो बड़ा बेहूदगी से या somebody is not behaving well. That is what is called acting out. So this is not going to be out. We don't want. I was putting on an act and laughing a lot. This is just it. So obviously this becomes my answer. But let's see if the other ones are correct. The new government act has reformed the condition, correct. The plane's engine was acting up. Again, acting up is to not perform properly. The government must act to reduce. This is also okay. So I think A ban gaya hamara correct answer. All right, then let's get to a little bit of grammar. Tell me which of the following is going to be the right fit. Okay, let's see. When involved in an accident, if I was him, I would call for the ambulance immediately. अब मुझे पता है कि if से अगर statement है तो वो एक conditional statement है. Conditional statement है और ये unreal statement है. So unreal statement होता है और conditional होता है तो इसके साथ हमेशा लगेगा were. Because was तो definite हो गया ना. आपको वो hypothesis बात करनी है तो were में जानी पड़ेगी. ये दोनों options तो निकल गए. ये नहीं हो सकते. अब subject pronoun agreement का rule लगाओ. जब आप सब्जेक्ट के बारे में बात करते हो तो आप सब्जेक्टिव या नॉमिनेटिव प्रोनाउन लगाते हो, आप ऑब्जेक्टिव प्रोनाउन नहीं लगाते हो, which means him नहीं लग सकता है, ये हट गया. द करेक्ट आंसर becomes C. So it is supposed to be if I were he I would, because यहाँ पे सब्जेक्ट की तरह ही को यूज किया जा रहा है, नॉट एज एन ऑब्जेक्ट. मैं अगर उसकी जगह होता तो मैं ये करता. देयर इज नो ऑब्जेक्ट, वी आर स्टिल. तो नॉमिनेटिव केसेस में यूज कर रहे हैं तो आपको ही यूज करना पड़ेगा. द करेक्ट आंसर becomes C and not B, which a lot of you guys had. I hope that's clear. Let's try the next one. Okay. Even after a long and tiring day, Tanmay is not and does not wish to eat tonight. So again, we want to make sure that there is a parallelism. Let's see. Even after a long and tiring day, Tanmay is not and does not wish हो नहीं सकता. Is not and do not. Again, parallelism नहीं है ये सारा. Is not eating and not wishing to eat tonight. Okay, well this can be a parallelism. Is not eating and does not wish. No, is not eating है तो wishing होना चाहिए. Eat है तो wish होना चाहिए. This is what parallelism is. The verbs must always be in the same tense. That is what it says. So the correct version, in fact, is going to be C. It is not going to be D, which a lot of you guys did have. Let's go next. Okay, let's see. When Chitra entered the room and saw the iron, she realized that she forgot to switch it off. नहीं, अब हमें पता है realized है और entered है, तो मतलब past tense में use हो रहा है, which means the third verb will also have to be in its past. And अगर हमें पता है कि actions हमारे पास multiple past के हैं, तो जो first action of the past होता है वो हमेशा क्या लेगा? Past perfect. Had लेना उसको बहुत जरूरी है, ये हम लोग ने क्लास में बहुत बार डिस्कस किया है. So let's see. She realized that she may have forgotten. No, there is no may, there is no possibility. पता है statement में कि भूली गई है. So she realized that she had forgotten to switch. Yes, because room में पहले switch करना भूली ना, फिर उसके बाद room में आई और उसको याद आया. तो first action of the past action ने had ले लिया. Perfectly can be an answer. Realize that she usually forgets. Okay, this changes the meaning. Realize that she forgot to switch. Forgot नहीं होगा. She had forgotten because past perfect लगना बहुत जरूरी है. Two events of the past में हमेशा याद रखना, जो former past event होगा, it has to take a past perfect. So this can't be the answer either. The correct answer is going to be option B. You guys did have B as the answer. Very well done there. Okay. Now, active से passive करना है. So let's see which of the following is going to be the right set. Please start. All right, let's see. Now we have to change it from active to passive. Why haven't they allowed you to go? ये active है, अभी इसको passive करना है. दो चीजों का ध्यान रखना है, पैसिव में हमेशा टेंस भी सेम रहता है और इंपरेटिव स्टेटमेंट है, इंटेरोगेटिव है तो वैसा ही रहेगा. So why you haven't been allowed, नहीं ऐसे नहीं हो सकता. We know that the object comes in first, but why you haven't is wrong English. It should have been why haven't you. So why haven't you been allowed to go? Well, yes, that makes sense. इसको रख लेते हैं, ये तो नहीं है. Why were you not allowed? Okay, why were you is not the question. It's pretty clear that you know the person has not been allowed. Why were you not allowed to go? Again, that's not going to be. We will have to have a present perfect to itself, which is why the correct answer will have to be option B over here. So yes, two of you did have that right. And with that, let's get back to doing Parajumbles. Now over here, please understand guys, in the Parajumble, the first statement and the sixth statement are in its original position. आप इसको change नहीं कर सकते. इसके basis पे आप ये चार को change करोगे so that when read, all the six statements together make sense. So please read it through. Okay, I have one answer, but I'll just start reading in the meantime. All through history, the use of sound has been used to threaten the enemy and raise the morale of your own people. Right? So it says all throughout the history, the use of sound has been used. Abhi use of sound, which means the next idea should be about the use of sound. So हमारे पास B, D, अच्छा सभी है. Start करते पहले एक opener ढूंढना पड़ेगा हमको, ठीक है? अच्छा, एक और चीज देखो. Last line says they played Argentine tangos through loudspeakers. So Argentine tangos and they, which means इसके previous line जो भी होगी वो they में होगी. तो एक काम करते हैं, reverse psychology try करते हैं and last statement से mandatory pair ढूंढते हैं, right? Now the Soviet troops kept German forces. Okay, troops है plural है तो they make sense. While if you see over here, for example, World War II during the German siege of this, okay, this doesn't have they, but the sound is also, ये तो नहीं हो सकता. तो अब मुझे इतना तो 100% गारंटी के साथ पता है कि 6 के पहले आना है क्यों, because they played है तो obviously I need something which is going to assist the noun pronoun rule, which means Soviet troops ही आएंगे. अब देख लो यहाँ पे, you could have easily come to an answer. Parajumbles is about strategy, it's about trick, it's not about spending time. अब इसको पढ़ के एक बार देख लेते हैं. The all through the use of sound was there. Then comes P. Bullets, missiles, and swords may be what most people think of when it comes to weapons. लोगों को लगता है कि यार यही तो weapons होते हैं हमेशा. But sound also has been deployed over the millennia to disturb, confuse, and even injure opponents on the global battlefield. But sound को भी काफी ज़्यादा use किया जाता है. For example, World War II में German siege of the Soviet city of Stalingrad in 42. They 42 हुआ. The Soviet troops kept German forces awake at night. They played Argentine tangos through loudspeakers. तो ये भी एक strategy होती है warfare की, कि सामने वाले को सोने ही नहीं तो थक जाए वो बाद में. and that is what they were doing. So perfectly, the correct answer becomes option D over here. So see, a little bit of trick goes always a long way. Next, again, parajumbles. The last two statements, the first and the last are given in its position, so be careful. Let's go. Right, let's see. In June of 1972, burglars were arrested in the office of the Democratic National Committee. Okay, it was about the burglars. Let's see the next. Q है और R है, पहले उसमें से decide कर लेते क्या होगा. It was located, okay, makes sense because office की बात हो रही है तो next आ सकता है. It was located at the Watergate complex of the buildings in Washington, makes sense. The prowlers were soon connected to press. But ये तो बाद में है ना. पहले ये तो बताओ कि ये जगह कहाँ थी. तो मेरे को ये पता है कि Q आएगा next. ये दोनों गया. C and D can't be an opener. अब Q के बाद R एक बार try करते हैं. अब obviously once you say where this place was, you will then talk about the dacoits, the prowlers. So the prowlers were soon connected to President Richard Nixon's re-election campaign. This came to be known as the Watergate scandal, and it had altered American politics forever. It also changed. So देखो, alter and change synonymously used, same type की बातें करें. So obviously they are going to be the kind of idea that we have. The correct answer over here is going to be A, guys. It is not going to be anything else. So you had B and C, but that's not what the answer is likely to be. I hope everybody understands. चलो एक बार B भी पढ़ लेते हैं क्योंकि बहुतों के आंसर्स है. Now where it was located तक तो ठीक है. अब next P. This came to be known. नहीं, जब आप ये बताओगे कि यार यही तो वाटरगेट स्कैंडल था तो पूरा स्कैंडल तो बताओ क्या था. स्कैंडल क्या था कि निक्सन के री इलेक्शन से ये प्रॉलर्स जुड़े थे. मतलब ये स्कीम थी पूरी. पूरा एक स्कैम था. They had decided that this is what they're going to be doing. So which is why this can't be an answer. The correct answer is going to be option A altogether. Okay, now error detection once again. There is a statement. Part of the statement is incorrect. You have to tell me which of the following is incorrect. Please start. Let's go now. We always thought that he was a cowardly man until he saved a girl from getting drowned. Now, let's see which of the following part is going to have an error. So, you guys say B is what is an erroneous part. Can you please also write to me what do you think the error is? I would just like to know what do you think the error in the part is going to be. Because again, if I read it in phase wise, the way it is supposed to be, now we always thought that is correct. So, इसमें कोई गलत नहीं है. He was a cowardly man until cowardly is all right because we're trying to be talking about the quality of the man. ये भी ठीक है. until he saved the girl from getting drowned नहीं हो सकता है, until he saved the girl from getting drowned, or until he saved the girl from drowning. Tab it will make sense. You have to give me a past. You can't just say getting drowned. Getting drowned is what is supposed to be. So the correct answer is part C. मतलब C becomes the erroneous part altogether. Cowardly सही है. Cowardly is लोग उसको समझते थे कि बड़ा डरपोक टाइप का है. Until the day जब उसने एक लड़की को बचाया. That's what it means. So it is the correct answer. Let's try the next one. Okay, let's try and see the next one. Now, one should be either brave or fool to go inside the haunted house. Now, always remember, जब भी हमारे पास correlative conjunctions होते हैं और otherwise also, parallelism is very important. Parallelism must be maintained. So over here, what is an issue is one should be either. So one should either be होना चाहिए सबसे पहले तो be either नहीं होता either be. Second चीज जो उसमें गलत है वो ये है कि अगर आपने यहाँ brave लिखा है which is an adjective, तो यहाँ fool कैसे लिख दिया which is a noun. अगर एक एडजेक्टिव है तो दूसरा भी एडजेक्टिव करो, या एक नाउन है तो दूसरा भी नाउन करो. सो यहाँ ब्रेवरी तो आएगा नहीं. सो विच मीन्स फूल को हमें क्या बनाना पड़ेगा, फूलिश. तभी तो दोनों एडजेक्टिव से कंपैरिजन हो सकता है. सो वन शुड आइदर बी ब्रेव और फूलिश टू गो इनसाइड द हॉन्टेड हाउस. सो द करेक्ट answer, which is the erroneous part, becomes option B. I hope everybody gets that one. Okay, now the next is again a reading comprehension. It's 1 hour 30 minutes, guys. We have another 1 hour and 30 minutes to go. So how about we take a 15 minutes break right now so that you can go grab on something, eat, and then come back exactly at, so it's 2:07 right now, 2:17, 89, 2:20. Exactly at 2:20. I know it's 13 minutes, but it's okay. Come back at 2:20. We will begin, and there is when we will continue with it. Sounds good? Can I have all of you back at 2:20? I know you might want to check your notifications, see what is happening on Instagram, eat something, and then come back. Okay? All right, perfect. 2:20, guys. Please make sure you're coming at 2:20. I'm just going to leave the screen idle, but be back at that time. Put an alarm, and that's when I'm going to see you. Right? Go eat and come back, but don't eat a lot. Okay, guys. Hi, everybody. Is everyone back? Do we have people who've come back? Or are we still devouring our lunch? Are we all back, guys? But the passage is hard to solve in a live video. Yeah, I can understand that. So, you know what my suggestion is? Just for the passage bit, take a screenshot or like a print screen or something so that we know, where we are and that you can go back to the information for solving the questions. I think this is the last comprehension that we have, and then we have all of the other things like, how the normal relay has been. So, do we have our participants back? Okay, chalo, all right. So I'm just going to move aside. You have the screen to yourself. Start by reading the passage. You know the drill. Just write a next to me whenever you're ready, and I will swap on to the next. थोड़ा सा ये जो passage है वो philosophical angle पे है, तो ध्यान से पढ़ना, दो बार पढ़ लेना अगर जरूरत पड़े तो, because here it's about quality, not about quantity. It's not the number of questions that we do, it is what we do of the questions that matter. All right, let's begin, everybody. Please start. Is this the level? Yes, pretty much. That is how it is. Plus minus थोड़ा बहुत, right? 19-20 का फर्क रहता है, but yes, that is how it is. Questions actually थोड़े से ज्यादा instructions में complicated. तो आप उसमें देखोगे बहुत सारे match the following and your normal set of words है which have been told to you कि इसमें देखो which of the following is going to be the right, how many words can fit in the following blank. तो ये सब type के vocabulary होते हैं. तो instruction wise IBPS is a little heavy instruction wise, but not attempt wise. Which is why I keep saying अगर आप previously mocks कर लोगे ना अपने, तो आपको पता चल जाएगा कि question का requirement क्या होता है. And then you will not spend time, वरना आधा time आपको पता है कहाँ spend होगा, वो decode करने में कि question क्या चाह रहा है, and वो बहुत ज़्यादा time taking है. So that's what I tell all of my students, that you need to practice the mocks at large and at length. मतलब जितना हो पाए उतना कर लो, because that's going to be the best way for you to be able to do it. Okay, and let's begin. Let's go, guys. The next passage. I'm going to slip aside. Let me know when to change. Please go. So, Parth, if out of 25, I'd like to say a good score should be 21, 22. Definitely. Okay, anyways, let's get back to the passage. Okay, I have one next. Still don't know if I should just go back. I'll just wait for 1 minute more, see if there are more people who are still doing, and then go. Okay, I have done. Let's begin then. So first things first, we're going to talk about the passage and see if you've understood just the way I will be explaining now. Now, most authorities agree that Valentine is the lover's saint. So बहुत सारे authorities agree करते हैं कि हाँ भाई ये है lover's saint है. However, some writers are inclined to believe that no such person existed, though there appears to be proof that he was a Christian bishop and that he suffered martyrdom under the European Emperor Claudius on February 14th. सो वाइल लॉट ऑफ से कि ऐसा कोई नहीं है बट सम डू फील कि हाँ भाई एक बिशप था जिसका ये नाम था और वो मार्टियर हो गया अंडर रोमन क्लॉडियस ऑन February 14th itself. The story is that Emperor Claudius issued a decree forbidding marriage. तो उन्होंने बोला कि भाई आप लोग शादी नहीं कर सकते. Married men disliked leaving their families to go to war and they didn't make good soldiers according to the emperor's notion. Emperor ने बोला जिसकी शादी हो जाती है उसको जाने का मन नहीं करता लड़ाई करने के लिए and they don't make good soldiers. Since good soldiers were needed, he decided that marriages good soldiers obviously needed थे तो उसने abolish कर दिया उसने कहा marriage is not allowed. The good priest Valentine heard this and was very sad. Obviously, the good priest was very sad about this. He invited young lovers to come to him and secretly got them married. उसने बोला तुम लोग आओ मैं तुम्हारी शादी करा दूंगा. The emperor learnt of this and had Valentine put in prison. Obviously, emperor को पता चल गया Claudius को उसको बहुत गुस्सा आ गया. There, the friend of lovers languished and died martyr to love. Now, the friend of lovers, obviously, he became a friend to all of these lovers. He was in a lot of pain. He kept writing. वहीं पे मर भी गया जेल में. The church made him a saint and allotted the day of his death, February 14, to him. Church was, of course, in gratitude of his sacrifice and बोल दिया February 14th आपके नाम पे है. So it is not surprising that youngsters in Rome made this day a special one in honor of the saint. Saint Valentine Day came to be known as the day for true lovers. And that is how Valentine's Day came to be. Three Egyptian words will tell us more about the customs of Valentine's Day than all the falsehoods concerning the strange. There are three Egyptian words जो हमको सही में बता देंगे. In Egyptian language, va or fa means to bear, len is the name or to name, and ten means to determine. So va, len, ten. That is what the root words are. Thus, the day of Valentine is the one which determines whose name shall be borne by the person in his mode of marriage by drawing lots. And इसीलिए वो draws करते थे और उसमें से निकालते थे. The custom points to the time where chance rather than choice was the law. It was by chance, not really choice. क्योंकि भाई ballot से निकाल रहे हैं ना. Marriage is still said to be a lottery. The custom is sending caricatures on Valentine's Day, probably based on asserting the freedom of choice and making a mock of chance. If one decides to entertain people at a supper or dinner on Valentine's Day, the decoration and even the food should follow the spirit of the day. Invitations are usually heart-shaped, a custom that originated in the first manufactured Valentines, which are usually in the shape of hearts darted through the arrows. So pretty much आपका जो भी invite है वो भी ऐसे वाले type का होना चाहिए. So that is what it tells us about how Valentine's Day came to be. Let's get to the questions. Let's see. The writer means that Saint Valentine's actually lived. Which of the following statement best reveals this meaning? Please tell me what do you think the answer is going to be? So the writer means that Saint Valentine's actually lived. Which of the following? चलो इसको देखते हैं. A. Most authorities agree that Saint Valentine was known as the lover's saint. Obviously, that's not. Valentine was put in prison and he was martyred to love. Somebody who was martyred is always known forever, right? In that name, he's given up. Makes sense? There appears to be a proof that he was a Christian bishop. No. Some writers are inclined to believe that no such तो फिर तो हो ही नहीं सकता, which means symbolically कोई भी martyr होता है तो वो आज भी जिंदा होता है because he's given his life. Every day Valentine's Day is celebrated, so every year he will be remembered. That is what it is. Let's get to the next one. Question 35. Start. Okay, let's see. Now, married men did not make good soldiers because obviously उनको पता था कि they are not going to go to war. They did not want to leave their families. Well, yes, they did not want to leave their families, but more so leave the family and go to war. Right? That is what it is. So they did not like to go to war. It is just not this, it is this combined. Their families didn't want them. No, the emperor abolished. That's not going to be. The correct answer is going to be B. जब आपके पास दो options ऐसे होते तो हमेशा ज़्यादा general answer दो रखो. Because they don't like to go to war में family आ जाएगी, but family बोला तो war नहीं आएगा. That's how it is supposed to be. Guys, it will not be A. It's going to be they did not like to go for war. Ultimately वो हुआ ना, family and the fact that obviously they did not leave their spouse or whatever be the reasons. So always look for a more generic answer to this. अगर B नहीं होता तो 100% A होता. Let's see the next. Okay, let's see. Valentine was made a saint by. किसने उसको saint बनाया? क्लॉडियस ने तो जेल भेजा, नहीं हो सकता. मैरिड मैन ने obviously नहीं. यंग लवर्स को वो सीक्रेटली मैरिज कराता था, वो नहीं था. व्हेन ही डाइड इन द जेल, उसके बाद जो प्रीस्ट थे उन लोगों ने उसको वो दर्जा दे दिया सेंट का. So it is going to be D, which is the Roman Church. If you just go back, let's just go back 2 questions over here, 3 slides, and then let's try and see over here. If I just, right, if I can just go back to the line over here, it says that the church made him a saint. So church hua to matlab clearly it will have to be the Romans over there. So which is why the answer is going to be D, which is going to be the church. Okay, where are we? Question 34. Next question, 37. Now, Valentine was called a martyr to love because martyr क्यों था? 35, please explain. Okay. Now, एक second, guys. 35 पे हम लोग वापस आ रहे. Now, married men did not make good soldiers because, right? So, पूरे passage में क्या लिखा था? कि married men जो थे, they did not like. One second. I'll just go back to the passage to be able to help you with that. Okay. Now, over here, it says that Claudius issued a decree. Married men disliked leaving their families to go to war. And they did not make good soldiers according to the emperor's notion. So the fact that, and since good soldiers were needed, the marriage had to be abolished. तो उनको अपने घर को, अपनी स्पाउस को, किसी को भी ऐसे छोड़ के जाने का मन नहीं था. इसीलिए. So अब जो भी आंसर चाहिए मुझे, it will have to be, of course, the kind of answer which is going to talk about the fact that they did not like going to war for whatever be the reasons. I mean, once you're married, you have responsibility, घर है, family है, wife है, there are so many other things also that you want to do. So why we have chosen, because अभी देखो दोनों ही सही है, they did not like to go to war and then they did not want to leave their family. Ultimately, war नहीं जाने के लिए family becomes the reason, right? Because we have two answers of the same lot, इसीलिए हमने क्या लिया, हमने end goal ले लिया, हमने उसके पहले का नहीं लिया. Because didn't want to leave their families to go to war, whatever be reason X to go to war. So war becomes the common entity. अगर नहीं होता तो 100% वो लेते. Well, I think also they should not give you like, two very close answers. This could also be a valid misprint that ways. So that's how we've come to this. Next. Valentine was called a martyr to love because. Martyr क्यों बुलाया गया था बंदा? Right part. That explanation is absolutely correct what you've given me. That they didn't want to go to war because of the families. Otherwise, they didn't seem to have a problem. But it was about the fact that they hesitated war and family becomes a reason altogether. So whatever be the other reasons, there other hesitations to not go for war. Family क्या था? Family automatically बन गया. चलो ठीक है. Okay. I think if we stay contextually, let's rephrase guys. 35 को A ही कर लेते. Right? Because I think फिर उसमें बहुत सारी inferential बातें वो हो जाएंगी. They're assumptive in nature. So guys, we'll go back to 35. Please mark 35 to be A. Let's stop that contention. Obviously, a bigger picture is seen, but it's okay. I think to the point specific detail lenge, so obviously it will be A. Doesn't matter. Okay, let's do the next one. 37, everyone. Okay. Now, he was called a martyr to love because he was sad. No. He got young lovers. No. He died for the sake. Obviously, martyr का मतलब अपनी जान दे देना. So that is how the answer is going to be. And the correct answer becomes option C. Chalo, next. The first manufactured Valentines were usually heart-shaped. The word Valentine here refers to, what is the Valentine word referring to over here? Yes, Parth. That's correct. The next one, please. हमें बताना है contextually इस word का क्या मतलब है. What is the first manufactured Valentine over here? So what was Valentine, which is usually heart-shaped? Very good. It is the invitation cards. Excellent. Good job there. And with that, let's move on to the next. We have one more reading comprehension, but a very nice reading comprehension. It's about Abraham Lincoln. Let's start by reading. Please do write a next when you want me to get to the next slide. Please start. Okay. Now, let's start with the passage. First things first, we'll get on to the discussion of it and then move further. Now, in modern time, Abraham Lincoln stands as the model of compassionate statesman. He is the model. He showed that quality not only in striving for the emancipation, emancipation means liberation. So, not only for the emancipation of American blacks, but in the dignity with which he conducted the Civil War. Now, he was somebody who not only gave them freedom, but also did it with a lot of dignity. Lincoln did not fancy himself as a liberator, but he didn't like to be called a liberator. He thought it would be better for all if emancipation was a gradual process spread over many years. In fact, he thought that emancipation is what we have to spread further. He proposed compensation for slave owners in US bonds and grants for the rehabilitation of blacks, colonization as they called it. So he proposed obviously ki there has to be compensation for all of these black owners in the US bonds, and that there had to be grants for rehabilitation. But fate was to deem otherwise, but fate had other plans. The haste with which the South wanted to break away from the Union with the North compelled him to move faster than he expected, perhaps more than most men of his time had. But the fact that the South wanted to move ahead, they wanted to break away, and which is why usko kya karna tha? He had to fasten up. Usko apna jo bhi karna tha, wo jaldi karna tha. Thought through the issue of slavery. We must free the slaves, he said, or be ourselves subdued. He's like, we have to free them. Before reading the first draft of the Proclamation of Emancipation, he told his colleagues, in giving freedom to the slaves, we assure freedom to be free. If we give them freedom, only then will we also be free. On September 22, Lincoln set his hand on the Proclamation of Emancipation, declaring that on the 1st of January 63, all persons held as slaves within the state shall be then and forever be free. He made this proclamation altogether. Lincoln's revolution for slavery left him without any moral indignation or passion against the slave owners. This entire revolution that he had for, the slavery, it left him without any moral indignation. It was just something that he wanted to do. He didn't have a moral pride. उसको ये नहीं था अरे बाप रे मैंने इतना सारा किया. He was a very humble person there. The guilt of the slave owners, he felt, should be shared by the whole country, the North and the South, for it seemed to him that every one of the nation was an accomplice in perpetuating that system. He said, ये नहीं कि साउथ अलग हो जाएंगे तो साउथ गिल्ट फ्री हो जाएंगे, उनकी भी गलती, सबकी गलती, हमारे नेशन की गलती है ये करना. To have whipped up any hatred against slave owners would to have him been an act of malice. I shall do nothing in malice, he wrote. What I deal with is too vast for malicious dealing. He says, ki, I'm not going to be in malice. This is worse than malicious dealing. As the Civil War was coming to a successful conclusion, the Northerner demanded of Lincoln, Mr. President, how are you going to treat the Southerners when the war is over? Lincoln replied, as if they never went to war. That is how his reply is going to be. When the news came to the victory of the North against the Confederate forces, some suggested that the head of the Confederation administration, Jefferson Davis, really ought to be hanged. Judge not that ye be not judged, Lincoln replied. So as to demand for the prosecution of rebels, Lincoln replied, we must extinguish our resentments if we expect harmony and union. This was the last recorded utterance. So he always went about by saying that, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. So you don't have to do the same thing, is what he went about and said. Okay, let's get to the questions and then let's see what do we have over here. Let's start. Answers, please. All right, then let's see. What came in Lincoln's way of carrying out emancipation as a gradual process? So what came in the way? वो तो अपना speed से कर रहा था, but उसको चीजें hasten करनी पड़ी क्यों? क्योंकि South ने बोला भैया हम तो जा रहे हैं. So obviously the answer will have to be A, the fact that the South wanted to break free. Very well. Next. Which of the following makes Abraham Lincoln a compassionate statesman? His hesitation in striving, he was never hesitant. In fact, he was very forthcoming. His indifference, बंदा indifferent नहीं था. While everybody was indifferent, he said मुझे इनको करना है. His effort to force out American blacks from slavery, yes. His efforts to conclude, no, that's not what it is. So the reason why he's compassionate is because कभी उसने blacks को black की तरह नहीं देखा. In fact, उन्होंने कोशिश किया कि उनका liberation हो जाए. So the answer is going to be C. Next, please start. Right. Now the incidents in the passage prove Lincoln कैसा बंदा था? Not a firm administrator, नहीं, बहुत अच्छा administrator था. Afraid नहीं था. Unduly concerned भी नहीं था. Sympathetic and kind-hearted बंदा था. He was somebody who cared for everyone and anyone. Next. Author का attitude क्या है लिंकन को लेके? Please start. Now the author of the passage seems to be a staunch and biased critic. नहीं, बंदा biased नहीं था, impressed था. So this can't be. Advocate of the system. Advocate मतलब कोई चाहता है जो चीज हो. But obviously passage तो anti slavery पे था ना, तो कैसे हो सकता है? Can't be an answer. An opponent of the system, again not impressed with. Now we have to understand क्या वो एक opponent था कि नहीं, मुझे नहीं पता. बट ये जरूर पता है कि इब्राहिम लिंकन ने जिस हिसाब से अपना कंडक्ट किया उससे वो काफी अप्रिशिएटेड था. दैट्स व्हाई ही इज यूजिंग ऑल काइंड वर्ड्स. सिंपैथेटिक बंदा है, हैड अ फर्म हैंड, काफी अच्छा एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर था, ऑल दोस थिंग्स. So we don't know about his personal choice, but we definitely know that he was impressed with Lincoln for a fact. So that is what the answer is going to be. 43. Now, according to the culprits of the system, were the slave owners alone? No, the slaves alone, obviously not of the, all of the people of the country. Anybody who was signing up for this entire act of slavery was a bad person. So the correct answer becomes option D over here. Next. Now, which of the following statement is true in context of the passage? No, Chan, why would you want to go for A? You can't just go for A. It's not. He basically said that it's a collective mentality wrong. That's how we get the idea, right? उसने बोला north and south alike. सबको, northerners and southerners, सभी को करना है. Because we have to break free. This is a wrong deed we are engaging in. इसीलिए तो emancipation of slavery उसको करना था. So everybody was to be, equally blamed for it. Okay, next. Okay, let's see over here. Now, which of the following is true? Lincoln hated the demand of hanging. No, that's not what it is. Lincoln turned down the demand for the prosecution of rebels. Okay, yes. Lincoln wondered how mere compassion could nay. The Civil War was fought by the Northerners against the enemies. Again, that's not what it is. So, which of the following is going to be true? Now, the Lincoln turned down the demand for the prosecution of rebels. He said कि soon after the war हम किसी को prosecute नहीं करेंगे. That is what he said. Next. Now, Lincoln didn't have any hatred from the slave owners because. Okay. Now, he didn't have any hatred because they were vast in majority. They all belong to upper class. They would not have treated. No, it's none of these. Now, he didn't have any hatred for the slave owners. Why? Because he was somebody who was compassionate enough to be able to understand that they're also humans at the end of the day. So, obviously, none of these is the answer because the answer is going to be D. And the last question for the reading comprehension that we have, please begin. Lincoln's reply to the Northerners' question regarding the treatment of the Southerners proved that. What do you think? What did it prove? Okay, now what did it prove? The Southerners were wicked in their dealing, no talk of being wicked. Lincoln did not have a revengeful attitude towards, yes. He was like, I don't want to have this attitude. The Northerners were in favor of the Southerners, of course not. Lincoln did not like the Southerners' act of breaking away. Nahi, aisa kuch bhi nahi tha. So the correct answer becomes option B. Very good job there. And with that, we come to an end to the reading comprehension. Now, this one becomes homework. You all can do this later. We are going to skip this for now. We'll see if time allows, we will come back. But we are going to get to some vocabulary starting question 50. Please begin. What is the correct synonym of attract? Please start. Okay, the correct is allure. Yes, allure means to be able to get attracted. Repulsion is the opposite. Dissuade is the opposite of persuade. Persuade is manana. Dissuade is na manana. Discourage bhi ho nahi sakta. So the answer becomes A. Very well. Let's see the next. Reprimand. Okay, so guys, Parth has a suggestion. He says वो जो एक passage छूटा है वो कर लेते. ये आप लोग कर सकते हो खुद से. Is that going to be majority? Should I go back to the passage? Is that how it is going to be? We can do that. If everybody agrees to this, we can go back to the passage after solving a couple of these. Parth, I'll just wait for an audience's opinion. Okay, so Sneha is okay. No, we can do this quickly. Okay, so whoever BBK is says no this. अच्छा ठीक है, एक काम करते हैं, एक 10 मिनट के लिए कुछ ये सब कर लेते हैं, ये क्विकली करते हैं और फिर उसके बाद, so I want you to do these orally with me then, okay, so that we have 10 good minutes. See, we have to wind up by 3:30 because we have the other sessions lined up. So we'll just try and see how well can we accommodate everything. We have 25 good minutes, right? तो इसको थोड़े से 5-10 कर लेते हैं, उसके बाद आप बाकी फिर रीडिंग कॉम्प्रिहेंशन कर लेंगे. करेक्ट सिनोनिम ऑफ रेप्रिमांड, एडमोनिश. एडमोनिश मींस किसी को डांटना, किसी की फॉल्ट फाइंडिंग करना. कॉम्प्लीमेंट, लॉर्ड, एक्सटॉल आर ऑल द एंटोनिम्स, व्हिच इज किसी की तारीफ करना. नेक्स्ट, व्हिच इज द करेक्ट सिनोनिम ऑफ डिटरमिन्ड? Correct synonym of determined? You'll have this PDF along. जैसे ये खत्म हो जाएगी ना, उसके थोड़ी देर के बाद ये PDF आपके में, आपके इधर ही YT के साथ ही अपलोड हो जाएगी. ठीक है? It is going to be very good. It is adamant, flexible, lenient, weak are all going to be the antonyms. Give the antonym for decrease. It is accrue. Yes, accrue means किसी चीज का बढ़ना. Demise is death. Depart is कोई चीज चली जाना. Cease is stop. So our answer becomes option C over here. Let's go to the next. What is the antonym for stupid? Give me an antonym for stupid, okay? Okay, yes, very good. It is going to be acumen. Sorry, guys, I've gone for a water break. Anyways, ignorance, crudeness, illiteracy are all the synonyms of it. Next. Okay, let's again see what is the correct antonym of flexible. Flexible is कोई चीज जो malleable होती है. Lenient, yes, synonym हो गया. Indefinite, जिसका definite shape ना हो, yes. Willing, willing is जब आप किसी चीज पे निर्भर होते हो या you're in favor of it, that means you're flexible with that idea. Adamant is when you're strong, stern. When you are hell bent कि नहीं भाई ये ऐसे का ऐसे ही होना है, so our answer will become D. Let's go to the next. Please start. Okay, let's see. Although the storm continued to rage outside, sorry, the howling wind and torrential rain gradually began to dash, bringing a sense of relief. Sense of relief आ गया तो मतलब बाहर का माहौल थोड़ा better हुआ होगा, right? So I want an idea which is going to talk about reduction. The word for reduction is abate. Abate means to reduce something gradually. Okay, next. एक काम करते हैं guys, इसको 60 तक कर लेते हैं and then reading comprehension पे वापस चले जाते हैं, ठीक है? Faced with mounting pressure and controversy, the king decided to dash the throne, leaving the kingdom in the hands of, obviously, leaving the kingdom. So we want an answer which is going to be of leaving. It is going to be abdicate. Abdicate means to relinquish. Chhod dena. To give up is what it is. Next. Although usually well behaved, his recent dash behavior surprised everyone in the party. His recent, although well behaved हर समय था, तो clearly यहाँ पे well behaved नहीं है. So which of the following is it going to be? His is aberrant behavior. Normal, regular, usual होता तो ये तो obviously first half, but although is a contradiction. Contradiction से start हो रहा है मतलब कुछ और था, तो aberrant. Aberrant means something which is a little not on the regular side. Okay. Let's see next. Contextually correct word के साथ fill करो blank को. Okay. The construction project was put in dash until the necessary permit. जब तक permits नहीं मिलेंगे उसको रोक दिया जाए, ऐसा idea है. So the one that is the idea of stopping temporarily is abeyance. So when something has been put to abeyance, it means it has been temporarily suspended or halted. And let's do the last before we move on to the reading comprehension. Okay, now these are figures of speech, so I will help you with this. Now he drank so much last night that he went on and blew chunks all night. So blew chunks over here, of course, is the fact that he vomited all night. Now, metonymy means जब हम किसी भी चीज में एक you use a certain part, no, not a part. Let me to put it like that. Use a certain synonym to talk about the whole thing. So if I say the crown has been chosen, so it means the queen, but crown use कर लिया because that is what it is going to be. That is what becomes a metonymy. जब आप synonymous ideas use करते हो. Epigram is a short saying, like a proverbial saying. Anaphora means whenever there is a repetition of the same word again and again, like chorus. And euphemism means जब हम लोग कोई बहुत ज्यादा अनएक्सेप्टेबल लैंग्वेज को इजी तरीके से कहते हैं. सो ऑब्वियसली हमें बोलना है यार उसे पूरी रात में उल्टी की, पर उल्टी बोलना ऐसा इट साउंड्स अ लिटिल ऑफ, sounds a little uncultured. So I simply said he blew chunks all night. So the correct figure of speech over here becomes D, which is called euphemism. राइट. सो यूफेमिज्म इज कोई बहुत बहुत ज्यादा ऑकवर्ड चीज को आपने सटल तरीके से आराम से कह दिया. ओके, वी आर गोइंग टू गो बैक टू द रीडिंग कॉम्प्रिहेंशन बिकॉज आई थिंक दैट इज जस्ट अबाउट हाउ मच टाइम वी हैव. सो लेट्स गेट बैक टू दिस. Now I'd like you to please write a done when you finish reading and a next when you finish reading on this slide. Let's go guys, the last one. Okay, I'm going to move next. Ready whenever you guys are. Okay, so let's start with discussing the passage and then you can do the questions orally with me. I heartily accept the motto that government is best which governs least. सबसे अच्छी गवर्नमेंट वही होती है जो सबसे कम गवर्नेंस करती है. And I should like to see it acted up to more rapidly and systematically. And this should actually be, something that has to be followed. Carried out, it finally amounts to this, which also I believe that government is best which governs not at all. And when men are prepared for it, that will be the kind of government which they will have. And then he also goes to believe that सबसे अच्छी government होती है जो बिल्कुल ही ना करे. Because then people are going to be like, अच्छा ये चाहिए वो चाहिए, कम से कम फिर जब government करेगी तो they're going to be prepared, they will be receptive to it. Government is at best but an expedient. But most governments are usually, and all governments are sometimes inexpedient. Right? So it just goes to say government should be expedient, but mostly governments inexpedient hoti hai. The objection which have been brought against a standing army, and there are many and weighty and deserve to prevail, may also at last be brought against a standing government. And then it just goes to say there's been this objection which has been brought against the standing army, and there have been these many weighty conversations, that have also happened, that have prevailed, that also may be brought. The standing army is not only an arm of the standing government. The government itself, which is only the mode which the people have chosen to execute their will, is equally liable to be abused and perverted before the people can act through it. Now the government is made by the people, right? Government actually voice of the people hai. And it goes to show कि कौन से type के लोग भी इसको बना रहे हैं, understanding the true quality of the government. After all, the practical reason why, when the power is once in the hands of the people, a majority are permitted and a long period continue to rule is not because they are most likely to be in the right, but because it seems fairest to the minority and because they are physically the strongest. So here, your robustness really helps. But a government in which the majority rules in all cases cannot be based on justice, even as far as men understand it. But there are other things to the government also, just not something which is majority driven. Can there be a governance in which the majorities do not virtually decide the right and the wrong but conscious? क्या ऐसी भी government हो सकती है जो consciously act करे ना majority के कहने पे ये सही है या गलत है? In which majorities decide only those questions to which the rules of expediency is applicable. और government से वही चीज decide करे जो expedient है, something which is important, कर लो. Must the citizens ever for a moment or at least in degree resign his conscience to legislator? क्या ऐसा कभी नहीं हो सकता कि लोग अपना conscience resign कर दे कि हाँ भाई morally law बनाते हैं कोई? Why is every man a और अगर नहीं तो इंसान के पास conscience है क्यों? I think what we should be, men first and subjects afterwards. We should all first be men, then be subjects of the government. It is not desirable to cultivate a respect for the law as much as for the right. So it is not, you have to have respect for the law, not for the right so much. The only obligation which I have a right to assume is to do any time what I think is right. And the only obligation is मुझे ये पता होना चाहिए जो भी मैं कर रहा हूँ वो सही है. It is truly enough said that a corporation has no conscience, but a corporation of conscientious men is a corporation with a conscience. Corporation की कोई conscience नहीं होती, but अगर corporation का जो board है, those people are they have a living conscience. It's made up of oh my God, it's made up of conscientious men. Then of course we know that their conscience will always be living. Law never made men a whit more just, and by means of their respect for it, even the well disposed are daily made of agents of injustice. There are always, everywhere you're going to see yin and yang, people who are good and bad, but law is not made up of this. Law should actually be morally upright, is what it says. Okay, now, according to the author, the army is, let's see, what do you think? Required, fallible, must, necessary, evil. अब देखो यहाँ पे 3 वर्ड्स अगर एक चीज मीन कर रहे हैं तो ऑब्वियसली दूसरी चीज हो सकती है. तो एक्सपीडियंट बोला था ना. सो व्हाट डू यू थिंक द आंसर ओवर हियर इज गोइंग टू बी? द आर्मी ओवर हियर इज इट इज मस्ट नो, मस्ट और नेसेसरी इवल तो सेम ही हो गया, और सो इज रिक्वायर्ड, तो आप तो ऐसे ही बता देते ये तीन नहीं हो सकता, इट्स गोइंग टू बी फैलेबल। फैलेबल मीन्स एरर हो सकता है जिस चीज में, इसलिए इनफैलेबल का मतलब होता है जिसमें कोई एरर नहीं हो सकता। नेक्स्ट, in general, when would the government of majority be good for minorities? Okay, now a government of majority is good for minorities when it is right, nahi, when it abides by the law, nahi, when it is consensuous, nahi, when it is fair. जब हमने उसकी बात की थी माइनॉरिटी की तरफ, उनको फेयर होना चाहिए। फेयर कैसे होगा? थोड़ा सा मॉरल रखो, इट इज ऑल गोइंग टू बी फेयर, it should be the same for everybody. And the last one, which of the following is the author going to agree with according to the passage? Says men are bigger than the governments. Obviously इंसान को लगता है वो लॉ से बड़े हैं, क्रिटिसिज्म तो है ही ये पैसेज का, तभी तो लॉ को beneath रखा है। Makes for an answer. बिजनेस हाउसेज आर बेस्ट फॉर द ग्रोथ, नहीं, बिजनेस हाउसेज कॉर्पोरेशन की बात हुई है कंसेंशुअस को लेके, तो ये तो नहीं है। गवर्नमेंट्स एंड आर्मीज आर नॉट, अरे भाई बिल्कुल रिक्वायर्ड है। concept of nation is redundant, no, it says make a proper nation where it is just not the majority which is ruling, but there is a conscious ruling that comes out every time. So I think this is very easy. The correct answer is going to be option A, men are bigger than the governments. And I think with that we come to an end to the 3 hours of marathon that we have. I know there are a couple of questions that do remain. I will have this PDF alongside the answer key being uploaded, and you can solve and check. Now, thank you so much, guys. You've been a wonderful, wonderful audience. I've never had such an interactive and such a proactive, batch of students to be able to keep giving me the answers. I hope these 3 hours went by and you did not realize it either. And that has been a good practice. You have only 4 days. So my weasel words, my words of wisdom are just going to be: have faith, trust your performance, and don't think of yourself to be any lesser than anybody, because it's the attitude that makes all the difference. Think like a boss and you will go and smash it in the paper. That's my guarantee. Thank you so much, everyone. I will see you again, maybe with some other exam, some other marathon. But until then, keep rocking, keep slaying, and keep using English, because English is a language. It is not a subject. And if you don't keep using it often, you will lose the grip of it, like always. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day. I'd like to, of course, thank you so much for being a lovely audience to me. Can I give one tip? Of course, yes, you can, Chan. What is your tip? I would also want to know what the tip is. Ma'am, please suggest something for vocabulary. So for vocabulary, just keep reading. I mean, just try and Google a list of some very popular words, some 300, 400 banking related words, and use those. See, vocab is always a gamble. By now, you should have been somebody who's reading so much कि भाई आप एक voracious reader और आपके पास बहुत सारी list of words आ रहे. But obviously, at this point of time, वो नहीं है. So it's okay. Relax. Nothing to worry about. Just make sure that whatever you do, you know it well now. Okay, we're waiting for your tip, Chan. Oh, but Chan is gone now. Is there any? Okay, so on the same LEAC channel, I have done a couple of grammar rules. There are 3 classes that are live of mine of the grammar rules. Please, please, please study those. There are 100 top rules of grammar. I have done some idioms and I've done some reading comprehension tricks as well. So you can always view that. Just go further down in the LEAC page. and you will be able to find those. So when you're doing a passage, instead of reading the passage first, go and check for the, yeah, it does help either ways. Now, again, चैन ने बहुत अच्छी एडवाइस दी है, बट प्लीज गाइस पहले प्रैक्टिस करना फिर देखना. सबको नहीं सूट करता है, राइट? अगर आपको सूट करता है तभी करना, नॉट जस्ट बिकॉज somebody has said, but that is always a good advice because you know how to read and where to read. It helps that ways. Okay, thank you so much, Chan. And will there be a marathon tomorrow? I don't really know, but let's just go. We'll figure that out. You will be notified about it. I think there is a GK marathon tomorrow. Anyways, guys, thank you so much. And I'm now going to be going. I will take your leave and I will see you guys very soon. All the very best and do very well in the paper.